After months of planning and saving, I finally bought myself a peaceful lake cabin tucked away in the pine woods of northern Montana. It wasn't fancy, just a modest 2-bedroom structure with a wood stove, a deck overlooking the water, and a dock where I could tie up a canoe. It was exactly what I needed. A quiet retreat, a place to get away from the chaos of town and breathe. But apparently, my idea of peace wasn't shared by everyone. From the moment I pulled up that Friday morning with a trailer full of chopped firewood, I knew something was off. A woman in a blinding orange windbreaker stood at the edge of her perfectly manicured lawn next door, glaring holes through me, arms folded, foot tapping. Like I had driven straight into her personal bubble. By simply existing, I waved, being neighborly. She didn't wave back. Instead, she stormed inside her house, slammed the door, and peeked through the curtains like some kind of suburban surveillance drone. I chuckled to myself and got to work. The winter chill was creeping in early that year, and I needed to stack my firewood before sundown. I'd spent the last few weekends chopping and seasoning that wood at my cousin's place, oak and pine, about 2 cords worth, enough to last through the season. As I started unloading logs from the trailer, I heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps crunching through gravel behind me. "Excuse me?" Sharp voice called out. I turned. It was her, the woman from earlier. Short, blonde hair, tight beige slacks, orange polo that looked like it hadn't wrinkled since 2008. She marched toward me like she was storming a battlefield. "Can I help you?" I asked politely. She didn't answer that. "You're stealing timber from this property?" she snapped, pointing at the trailer full of firewood that was clearly cut from HOA land. I blinked. "Sorry, what?" "I saw you unloading it," she said, arms now crossed tightly. "That's not yours. Timber harvesting on common grounds is strictly forbidden by HOA policy." I let out a confused laugh. "This is my firewood. Brought it from town. Chopped it myself." "Don't lie," she hissed. "I recognize those trees." I stared at her, stunned. "You recognize the trees?" "Yes, the texture, the grain. That's lodgepole pine and white oak. Exactly what grows around here." "Lady, it's Montana," I thought. "It describes every third tree within 100 miles. I tried to be reasonable. "Look, I don't know who you are, but I own this cabin. Got the deed and everything, and this wood. It's from my cousin's farm in Missoula." She narrowed her eyes. "I'm Karen Schaefer, head of the HOA board, and I'm reporting this theft." Immediately, before I could respond, she whipped out her phone and called 911 right there, in the middle of my yard. "Yes, hello," she said in a dramatic tone, pacing in tight circles. "I'm witnessing someone unload stolen timber onto a property near mine. He claims he owns it, but I believe it's from the HOA, a maintained forest. I need officers here right away." I stood there speechless. Was this actually happening? Sure enough. 20 minutes later, a sheriff's cruiser pulled into the gravel driveway. Out stepped Deputy Malone, a tall guy with a bushy mustache and a calm demeanor that said he'd seen this kind of HOA madness before. Karen ran to him like she was reuniting with a long-lost relative. "Deputy, thank goodness. He's stealing HOA timber and storing it on his property? I want him arrested." Deputy Malone looked at me. "Mind telling me what's going on?" "Sure," I said. "I just bought this cabin 3 months ago. Came up today with my own firewood from my cousin's property. Karen here thinks I somehow stole it from the woods out back." He turned to Karen. "You got any proof he cut this wood from HOA land?" Her mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. You can tell just by looking at it. The bark, the sentence. Our timber. Malone scratched his head. "Ma'am, wood's wood. Unless you've got photos or video of him cutting it. I can't treat this like a crime." Karen turned red. "So anyone can just take from our forest and you'll let it go?" Malone looked amused now. "It's not your forest. It's state-managed land. Unless he trespassed or did illegal logging, there's no crime." She was fuming. "He's lying." "Okay," I said calmly, reaching into my truck and pulling out my phone. "Want to see the time-stamped videos of me and my cousin splitting and loading this exact wood 2 days ago?" I showed Malone a short clip of me loading logs onto the trailer with my cousin and nephew. The license plate of the trailer was clearly visible. So is the background nowhere near here. Malone smiled. Good enough for me. Karen's mouth twisted like she'd just sucked on a lemon. He turned to her. Ma'am, I suggest you let this go. You can't accuse people of theft without evidence, but I'm the HOA chair. This is private property, he replied firmly. Not HOA-managed. She glared at me one last time before stomping off, muttering about lawsuits and calling the regional board, after she disappeared back inside her pristine house. Malone turned to me and shook his head. Welcome to lake life, he chuckled. You got a lot more fire in that woodpile than she ever will. I laughed, grateful for his patience. Thanks, Deputy. Hopefully that's the end of it. It was. 2 days later, I got a certified letter from the HOA accusing me of timber possession. Without authorization, I brought it straight to my lawyer, who nearly laughed out loud. This isn't worth the postage it was printed on, he said. They don't have jurisdiction over your lot. And they definitely can't regulate what you brought in. I framed that letter and hung it above my fireplace for fun. Over the weeks, Karen tried a few more stunts reporting me for burning unapproved fuel, attempting to impose a noise violation when I played my guitar on the porch, and even demanding an inspection of my compost bin. But after a few polite refusals and one very firm call from my attorney, she backed off. The firewood burned beautifully all winter long. The cabin stayed warm and peaceful, and filled with the scent of pine. Karen, on the other hand, must have stayed burning with jealousy. But hey, some people just can't handle it when you bring your own fire and don't ask for permission.